go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know what my name is. I just wanna end up famous in
I'm
their
so serious,
heart.
probably why they be so damn curious, they furious. Easy got these ladies on some silly shit. Now what the dilly is, I'm going all out. Hey, I'm the talk of the town while y'all just saw a mouth. Here's a story about my quest to be rich. I'm like Beyonce and Kelly on some Destiny shit. Mr. 6 Mile, look me up, I'm somewhat a dream. Got my city like an addict, guess it's somewhat a fiend. For my team, anything less is uncivilized. Surprise, I'm seeing this world through clear eyes. And haters only made me more inspired to bless. On the clock right now, what the hell is the next? Like that feeling in your chest when you're ready to leave. Like that memory you had, you just couldn't believe. And we always got a little ammunition for y'all, cause we remember when they wouldn't even listen at all.
Listen here, I can't go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know my name.
Wanna love something with me too. In 97, no Gunston and 6 Measy. The streets made a natural born hustler. Believe me, drop real with it. That was my first EP. Grind harder than granted, but made it look easy. Take it to the top, that was the plan. Now I'm known worldwide, from Detroit to Japan. 14 years span, fuck hot nigga, I'm scorching. I done got the fame, now I want the fortune. 6 albums deep, yes, I grind harder.
And what's up, everybody? Or should I say, what up, though? Like my hometown. Welcome to another episode of the Jackson Report. I think this episode 23, Chuck.
Yeah.
And today, I got to humble myself. Because last week on my show, I kind of gave my fellow Texans a real hard time because of what was happening down here with the whole snowstorm and the power grid going down and all of this other stuff. But today, I guess I got to humble myself because in the midst of me snapping, because, you know, where I'm from, that's what we do. We gonna talk our shit. But I started really paying attention to how Texas was handling the situation. And I saw people pulling over, helping people. I literally saw somebody pull over, pop their trunk, get out, and give this lady standing in a line at the store a whole case of bottled water. Because the past week, for those that don't know, because I know it was all over the news, but for those that don't know, the past week down here in Texas, for those that was born and raised down here, was kind of like hell week. A whole new experience, because you got a lot of people that never saw snow, never saw the icy roads like that. And last week I was giving them a hard time. Like, why can't y'all drive in this? This ain't nothing. It's only 6 inches. We see 1.5 feet in Michigan. But then I had to humble myself and think about it. I'm not in Michigan. I'm in the capital of Texas, where the average temperature is 45 and up. So for they roads to have been iced over, pipes bursting, people without power, people without water, and to their credit, they wasn't complaining and crying about no bailouts. They didn't call Arkansas. They didn't call over to Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, and ask for all of these people to bring aid in. It was Texans reaching out, helping other Texans. So this week I had to humble myself and sit back and realize, hell, Chuck, I've been here 5 years. So I guess that officially makes me a Texan.
Oh, yeah.
So the resilience I saw in the state of Texas over this past week, I had to come back this week on my show and say this. I've heard a lot of sayings down here in Texas. Keep Austin weird. And this what we do in Texas. But the one that stands out to me because of the past week is Texas Strong. I understand the pride of true Texans now. They're not going to wait for the handout. They're not going to cry and complain about it. Although they was making national news, worldwide news. And like Chuck was saying earlier when we was talking about it, the news is painted in such a negative light, like, oh, Texas is the worst thing ever. But honestly, it showed the true grit of Texas. It showed the reason why everybody come down here and they say, yeah, everything is bigger in Texas. Even the egos are bigger in Texas. But in order to have a big ego, you got to be able to back that ego up. And from what I saw this past week, Texas backed that ego up.
Check this out. This is something me and Gary covered during Faust News. This guy named Ryan Sivley was out just rescuing people all day during the worst 2 days.
Oh yeah, and one of them days I didn't even drive. I was kind of, I'm not scared to drive, but I was thinking about it like I'm used to driving in this, but not everybody else is. And this dude was out rescuing people, and he was from here.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to that guy because he drove in inclement weather on road conditions he wasn't used to and helped save other people that wasn't used to it either. See, these are the stories that don't get covered on national news and nobody gives this guy credit. But on the Jackson Report today, we going to get this guy his just due because that's a hell of a thing to go out risking your own insurance premium to help other people. Because last week, although they handled it like champs, a lot of people's insurance premiums gonna be sky high after last week. Like I saw so many people just aimlessly tearing their cars up, and up walks our producer. All right, Chuck, look safe. Keep the articles together. The producer's here now. Like, we gotta get this shit right. This week, I really just wanted to point that out because I saw a lot of people helping each other. I saw people helping people. People was helping people across the street. It was people pulling over. A lot of people got in the cars with pure strangers this past week because it was too damn cold to be waiting on Cap Metro. And I think 1 or 2 of the days, Capital Metro shut down. Like, where I work, we still dealing with the aftermath of last week. And it's still tripped out because to this day, there's still people without power. There's still people without running water. So 1 week, even though we used to stuff like that in the North, I had to come back this week and check myself because it dawned on me. I now live in a state where stuff like this just doesn't happen on a normal basis. They not seeing 32 and 33 degree weather and temperatures below freezing and roads iced up. And somebody I was talking to pointed that out to me because, oh man, I gave Texas such a hard time. I talked about everybody and everything and talked about how they felt we was transplants. So I'm man enough to come back and get in front of all of my viewers and be humble enough to say, maybe I looked at it from the wrong perspective a week ago. Maybe I needed to look at it from a perspective of being somebody that's never seen snow. If you so used to sun and palm trees and green grass and you wake up and there's ice and snow everywhere, a lot of Texans probably felt like they woke up in the twilight zone. And then not to mention, not only can't you go outside because it's not right to drive, but then your power go off. And then they tell you to boil the water. And if you had an electric stove and wasn't used to being out in temperatures and weather like this, your first thought wasn't going to be to grab a barbecue grill and warm the water up. Your first thought was going to be, we screwed now. Now what we do? And I'm only speaking on this because I've read so many posts up and down my timeline on Facebook about people who wasn't able to do the daily essentials that they were used to doing because of this whole ordeal. I was even talking with somebody who was giving us flack, like, yeah, if Texas would just join the rest of the country and get on their power grid, then. But why would you spend extra money? And this is the businessman in me thinking. Why would you spend extra money to upgrade your system for something that may happen once every 10, 15, 20 years? It's kind of like a bad investment. That's like me putting $2,000 on something that's only going to pay me off in 2035. Hell, it's 2021. My car could slide off in a ditch off Red Bud Trail. And I never see the investment in 2035. So it wouldn't make no damn sense. That's like me telling Gary, you know what? You do the show and I get up and walk off. That wouldn't make no damn sense. So I heard a lot of people giving us flack down here. Y'all don't got salt trucks. Y'all don't got this. And I was even doing it myself. So I'm here today in front of the people to humble myself and say this. No, we didn't have salt trucks. No, they wasn't prepared for this storm. People lost power. People lost water. People tore their cars up and all of that. But at the end of the day, those same people banded together and walked this thing down. And Saturday, I woke up and it was like that week never happened. All of the snow, ice gone. I was back cussing at people on 35 because I was mad, caught in traffic. I'm like, dang, Austin again, out the blue. So the same way a week before, I went to sleep in Texas and woke up in Michigan. I went to sleep in Detroit and woke back up in Dallas. The snow was all gone. And I'm looking around the room at everybody looking at this show, people paying attention, trying to see what I'm going to say next. The fact that I saw this, and I'm not going to say the first thought that came to my mind because I'm being politically correct today. But I saw this article, and the very first thought that came to my mind.
Water power is back on for most Texans, but many will still.
That's actually a pretty.
Chuck just hit a button he wasn't supposed to hit. Gary, what should we do? Say, no, we're not gonna fire Chuck. We laying your ass off, Chuck. How about that? No. But seriously, I saw an article, and the first thought that came to my mind, I'm gonna be politically correct when I say this. If by now you still looking towards the government for help during this time, as opposed to what I really wanted to say, I'll say it that way. Y'all halfway to y'all goal. Because the House set to pass Biden's corona relief bill this week. So they talked about it, I guess, in the budget committee. You know, the budget committee on Monday, I guess they talked about it. So by Friday or Saturday, it should pass through the House. But then it's got to go to the Senate. So for everybody that was banking on the new minimum wage being $15, and that sound kind of good. But in a country that plays the money game the long way, did y'all really believe that this bill gonna pass the first time around and they just gonna say, okay, cool, Biden's president now, let's give everybody $15 an hour minimum wage? Because that affects the whole economy. Because you think about it, if $15 is the minimum wage, what about the people that's making a little bit over 15? Now they feel like we need a raise too. And the people that's making $20 and $30 an hour, what you gonna raise them to $40 and $50 an hour? So I see that part of the bill probably getting a little flack when it get to the Senate. But I saw that, and the first thought that came to mind was like, I need to speak on this because somebody sitting at home, scared to the mug that they gonna punch their little numbers in and they not gonna get a check this week or next week or whenever they come out. Help is on the way. Y'all halfway to y'all goal with that one. This week, when I came in, I could have talked about so much stuff. But after the election, after all of the crazy stuff that happened at the beginning of the year with the whole Capitol raid and all of this crazy stuff, I'm so sick of talking about Trump. I'm so sick of talking about the government that this week I really wanted to just come on here and get a lot of stuff off my chest. So that's why I labeled this show Texas Strong. Because it's a lot I want to speak on about the state of Texas. It's a lot of questions I have for my fellow Austinites, the people I know in Dallas, the people I know that even came here. Like, what is it about Texas that is so glorious, yet, like, God, at the same time? Because it's almost like it's alluring enough to attract you to come here. But then you get here, and it's just chaotic enough to make you want to be like, why did I do this? But on the same note, you don't want to go nowhere, but you just like, what the hell? It's a different mentality when you come to Texas. And just in my little personal opinion, looking around at everything that I've seen in my little mini adventures in Texas, from Austin to Dallas to Houston, San Antonio. Hell, I'm going to check out Marfa, Texas to see what that part of Texas is about. But in my little humble experience, it's like a homey feeling in Texas. You really feel like you at home, but on the same note, you feel like you at home with that auntie that really kind of accept that you over there, but don't want you over there. So that's my feeling in the state of Texas. Like, that's how I feel down here. It's like, man, it's cool you here, but do you really have to be? Like, it's just the feeling I get. I feel like a lot of Texans don't appreciate how many people is coming from all over the country and flooding their state the way they are.
Well, at least one person came from California and did a lot of good.
One person?
A couple.
Oh,
An
yeah.
LA couple collected $5,000, rented a truck, filled it with 11,000 bottles of water, and then drove to Austin. This is them handing it out for free.
Now, see, that's a noble act. That's a noble act. But as I said, when we talked about this before, Texas is the richest state in the union. So why not take those 11,000 bottles of water to somewhere like Haiti or somewhere? No, I'm just talking. I'm just talking junk. A lot of people this past week experienced something they was never used to. So for that couple to do that, that brings up something that just crossed my mind a lot of Texans really don't like Californians like that. So for them to take that time out of their lives to spend that amount of money and bring that many bottles of water down here, maybe Texas need to they need to rethink their perspective on California. Because outside of Silicon Valley trying to move here, I don't really think California is that bad. I think they are more, dare I say it, they're a little bit more open minded than some of the Texans I've met. And I really don't want to sound like that guy on here. But maybe, just maybe, the reason a lot of Texans don't like California is envy, maybe. Maybe just a little bit. But I honestly, I don't think that was kind of, I don't really think a lot of Texans would appreciate that the way I'm looking at it. They might look at that as like, he only bought 11,000. Why they didn't bring 100,000? I mean, a lot of, from the people that I've met, and it took me a long time when I first moved to Austin to actually meet somebody that was from Texas. Everybody I met was arriving in Austin like I was. I met people from everywhere but Texas. Like my first maybe 5-6 months in Austin. So when I finally started meeting Texans and I started noticing the little arrogance, and it was like, okay. But the longer I've been down here, I kind of understand the reason that they're so prideful. I understand the reason that their attitudes be the way they be. Because coming from Detroit, we kind of got a little attitude about ourselves. We felt like if we grew up where we grew up, we could live everywhere. So this past week, to me, even though it was minimal and I was looking at it like, oh, it's just like nostalgia, I had to sit back and sit on the other side of the table and start realizing a lot of people was experiencing a whole bunch of different stuff more than I was, because I never lost power. I never lost water. It was just like another week to me. But you literally had people, and still right now, that can't shower like they used to, or can't turn their stove on and cook that morning meal, or cook them wives dinner or something like that like they used to. So when you start thinking about stuff like that, it make you realize just how serious this was. Because I heard something about a guy they found during this whole past week, a guy in Leander. They found him just like in his lazy boy, froze to death. And you hear stuff like that. And for a person like me, I'm like, how is that possible? And it wasn't even, but then I thought about it. If you used to 60, 70, 80 degrees, and then all of a sudden out the blue, it just spiraled out of control and you waking up in this 6, 11, 12, 18. I think one of the days during the past week, Texas was colder than Alaska, Iceland, and all of that.
Yeah, it was colder than Alaska at one point.
Exactly. So whereas I was used to it, because in Michigan, we get cold weather 3 to 4 months out the year. For somebody that's from Texas, and it's like, we never really see cold weather. I can recall the past couple of years down here, January, I was debating walking outside in shorts. So for them to wake up and it's like 11 damn degrees, that's like culture shock. The same culture shock I felt when I got here and realized nobody walks up to each other and say, hey, you're nice looking. Let's exchange numbers. It's like, hey, you're nice looking. Give me your Snap or give me your Insta. That was culture shock to me. And I keep reiterating this storm because there was a lot of stuff about this past week that bothered me. Because I felt like they wanted to paint Texas in a bad light this past week. They wanted to paint it like, well, yeah, if y'all would just try 5 or 6, yeah, yeah, it was kind of cold out there. But it's kind of like when I was looking at the media outlets, and so many of my family members was calling like, let me get your take on it because y'all on national news, like y'all on every channel. And every time I kept being like, for what? I'm like, are they really filming this? Like, is they filming what's going on, the activity in Texas? Because people is still moving around. And to their credit, in Michigan, when it snow like this, we not getting out our cars. We in the car with the heat on, everything. I was seeing people out walking in droves. Nobody wanted to drive, but they was walking in them temperatures, trying to find stores that had anything that they could possibly use. So for me to see all of that, dare I say, it made me a little proud. Being down here like, wow, okay, I see why. I saw the arrogance factor for myself. And it kind of reminded me of how we be in Detroit because we feel like Detroit versus everybody. So far be it from me to knock the next state, city for feeling like we all we got. But a lot of times in my hometown, we don't be all we got. We had a crabs in the barrel mentality. So for me to be in a spot where I saw people, I had total strangers asking me that I need anything. People I didn't even know, never saw in my life before. So it made me understand the heart that's down here. So I'm like, okay, let me not keep picking on people and keep talking about why they driving like this. Because I did see people doing all of the no's, all of the don'ts during this storm, slamming on brakes. And it's like, well, no, don't do hitting the gas, not paying attention. But if that's what you're used to on a daily, then you're not going to change it up. I did feel bad for my Michigan folks because y'all already had 6 inches of snow and then y'all got the winter storm. And y'all surrounded by, who is that saying? Who is that tomorrow? Hey.
Anika Smith?
Oh, what's up, sis? I was about to say, I had just glanced. I'm like, hey, boo, don't do that. Don't do that.
Oh, no, it says bro.
I know. I see. I just had glanced and it was still like, don't do that. Hey, boo. Don't nobody want me. We don't do all of that. See.
Hey, by the way, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're on DeWitt's Facebook, go to the Jackson Report page because way more people are commenting on the
on my regular
on the
page.
DeWitt Jackson page.
Why? See, we tell y'all every week. So that means my followers is hard-headed as hell. Like I really be wanting y'all so I can see what y'all saying. And I told y'all this week I was chilling. I wanted to interact with my people. So next week, now I'm going to have y'all sitting back, having to get out dictionaries and thinking about stuff because this week I really wanted to relax. I wanted to chill because we went through a traumatic week down here in Texas. And I'm not going to lie, I was talking a lot of junk. But being down here 5 years, I'm not the same person I was in Michigan. So I was just as cold as everybody else is. I think your blood thin out when you come into hot temperatures like that. So I was feeling like everybody else, like, oh, it's 32 degrees. Do we really have to go outside? Like, why can't they cancel work? I can't make it today. Like, I even forgot how to drive in the snow for a second last week. So I didn't want to get up here this week and talk about what's going on with Biden or talking about why they acquitted Trump. I didn't want to talk about all that because since September, we spoke on why Trump this and why Trump that, and Biden gonna be this and Biden gonna do that. And Nancy Pelosi said this and Nancy Pelosi doing that. I think we drilled politics, the election, the robbing of the election, from the George Floyd, the Breonna Taylor, even the Javier Ambler. It was so much stuff happening that honestly, over this past week, I can admit down here in Texas, I think everybody forgot about COVID the past week. Cause we didn't hear no updates. We didn't know how many people got vaccinated. All we knew was people wanted to find water, something that they can cook without having to turn their stove on, and damn it, ice the roads, salt the roads, clear the roads up so we can continue on with our lives. Everybody forgot about COVID.
You know, on the first day of the snow, before people were freaking out about before people's electricity went out pretty much.
Yeah.
I went out with some friends and, we went sledding and had a good time. And that day, there were so many people just out, walking around, enjoying the day. It wasn't until that evening, but I looked back at the day and I thought that that whole day had felt like a pre-COVID day.
Exactly. A normal day.
Yeah.
Because even now, honestly, when I be riding down doing Lyft and I be on 6th Street, everybody be treating it like a normal day, like pre-COVID. Everything be pre-COVID now. Like it seemed like pre-COVID because people, I think at this point, is so done with the whole COVID thing. I think people is so ready to get back to just their normal lives because it's like, you get out the car and you halfway to the door where you going, and then you like, damn, and you turn around and got to go back and get your mask.
Happens all the time.
It's like you so programmed, and then when it does be over with, I guarantee you a bunch of people gonna be walking in places with masks on, and people gonna be looking at them like, what the hell wrong with y'all? Because you're getting programmed. Like basically, it's becoming routine. To the point where I'm so ready for all of this to be over with because none of the normal things is normal now. If a person sneezes now, you looking at him sideways. Or if a person choking on something and get to coughing a little bit too much, everybody looking at him. Then with this whole vaccine, it's like we not hearing a lot more about that now. We're not even hearing, it's not getting drilled in our heads the way it was when it first started. Now it's just almost like we hear about everything else other than the vaccination or how many numbers is going up. Like I was keeping up with it down here. Like if we was at stage 5 or stage 4, I'm lost in the sauce when it comes to it now though. Like, what are we at? Has the cases spiked up? Has the cases plateaued? All we've been talking about this past week, every time I turn on a news outlet, it's been the Texas freeze. Pray for Texas. Citizens around the world. Somebody started a GoFundMe account for Texas. And I'm like, for what? Like, what was that going to do for people that didn't have water or lights? Like, okay, you started GoFundMe, but what you going to go buy for them? Everything was out of stock down here. Like it was so much stuff I was looking for last week that I couldn't find. And that's the thing that if somebody here on this feed watching and y'all really from Texas, why do y'all buy the stuff that y'all buy during times like this? Like when COVID first started, everybody ran out and bought tissue paper. I didn't understand what was the need for that when COVID started. And then when the freeze came, everybody ran out and was buying like just unnecessary stuff. Like if your power was off and you couldn't put nothing in your refrigerator, why would you run out and spend? Like I saw a guy spend over $100 in 7-Eleven. What could you get from 7-Eleven for over $100? It's like what makes y'all go into panic mode when y'all know this Texas? Like, I seen somebody spend at least $250, and this was like Thursday, and then we wake up Saturday, and now everything back dry. So you just filled your refrigerator, you just filled up your refrigerator, your pantry, your deep freezer with stuff that you're not even gonna eat now. Because y'all go into panic mode. Like, maybe that's just like y'all call it being too prepared, but to me, it was like panic mode. Like, it was people in the stores. It's I said I wasn't gonna speak on it the way I really wanted to, but I saw people in stores looting because I was giving Texas they props today. But it wouldn't be me if I didn't tell the truth and give y'all the real truth before I left off this mug. I saw people looting. And to me, that was crazy. I saw people really looting 7-Elevens like it was the end of the world. Why? Exactly. People panic, and if one person panic, it's gonna cause the whole crowd to panic. Some people were standing in 7-Eleven waiting to buy other stuff, and I saw it because I walked in to just get me a little something. There was people in there just like me until they saw everybody coming in just ramshacking the shelves. And I'm like, what the hell is y'all thinking about? Like, what is y'all doing? Like, I literally saw people running in 7-Eleven, grabbing cases of pop and trying to run out the door with it. And I'm like, what's the purpose? Y'all act like the president came on the screen and was over the loudspeaker like everybody got 2 hours to get to their fallout shelters. And people literally went crazy. Like, I saw so many people going crazy. It was people trying to steal gas. I saw a dude pay for his gas and somebody backed up to the pump and they was out there arguing. And I started thinking, what was the purpose of that? What's the purpose? As y'all can see, the snow didn't even last. It only lasted, what, a week at the most? It wasn't even a whole week. I think like maybe 3 or 4 days of real snow. So it's always two sides to the coin where I saw a bunch of people helping each other, a bunch of people pulling together. I saw a bunch of people just running rapid. Like it was the end of it for them. And I wonder how them people feel today now that it's all over with and you done stole stuff from people. You done ran outside buying all of this unnecessary stuff that you normally don't eat. And you got it all in your house going to waste now because it's over with. And every week I do get up here, I have to leave. I be trying to leave y'all with stuff on y'all mind. So this week I want to kick it with y'all about something. Something that I saw firsthand, and it kind of had me thinking. So I was on my way home from work one day, and I saw these two ladies standing there, and they looked like they was talking. And right as I was about to ride past them, I saw a dude come across the street and picked one of the ladies up and walked across the street with her. And at first I'm riding, I'm like, that was weird. Like, why would he just pick her up? So something was like, I want to see what's gonna go on with that. So I circled back around. And I figured by the time I got back, they would be gone. But as I was circling back around, I saw the dude setting the lady, I guess, in her wheelchair or her little walker or whatever. So two things came across my mind with that. For one, when I first was riding up, she was standing there talking to a person. So that stuck to my mind like, dang, she was standing up. Why did he put her in a wheelchair if she was standing up? But then, me always thinking how I think, I start looking at it deeper than that because I don't see things like the average person. So this just me and my little humble thoughts and how I pictured that situation because somebody somewhere, I'm feeling it, and I'm not even in my reverend mode. I'm no pastor. I'm not nothing, but I feel it on me that somebody somewhere probably need to hear this. I looked at it like this. That lady was just standing up on her own accord talking to this lady. And if she was getting set down in a wheelchair because the guy carried her across the street, at that same moment, I took that as a sign like God is real. And for me to feel that on me, I don't know who watching this episode needed to hear that. But somebody, be it in Detroit, be it in Austin, be it in my California family that watch my show, be it in my fam over in Thailand that watch my show, one of y'all need to hear that. God is real. I don't know what it is you going through, but the fact that that hit my spirit like that, and I got two people in the studio with me watching me, and I don't think Chuck ever seen me go in this mode when I feel that spirit on me. And like I said, I'm no reverend, I'm no pastor, I'm none of that. But the fact that in the midst of that, I thought about them two ladies, and it had been sticking to it just been on my mind, like, why did he carry her across the street and set her in a wheelchair if she was standing up over there? And normally, the person I am always would have thought the opposite, like, dang, she lazy than a mug. She could have walked across the street. But for some reason, telling that story today made me realize somebody somewhere needed to understand. I don't know what you're going through, but whatever it is, it's not that deep. You're going to get through it because God is real. And to whoever that person is, don't get to looking at the screen, crying and doing all that stuff. I don't say stuff like that because I don't like when I make people emotional and you get to crying and calling me and like, you was talking to me and all of that. Don't do that. But just know that was a message for you, whoever watching this. I guess call me Deacon DeQuan DeWitt Do Wrong because I just touched somebody's life with what I said, Chuck. On top of all of this stuff, and I'm gonna tell y'all what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get off and go. As soon as this episode was over with, I'm going right to the burning bush. So I'm not holier than thou. But somebody watching this show, I felt it on my spirit at that moment, needed to understand that God is real in your life. So whatever is happening to you, whatever you think you're going through, is really not that deep at all. And your other side is coming. That light coming to you. Oh, man, Mika, see, now you about to see me preach because it's just on me to end my show, these last couple minutes, to end my show giving the people messages because this week I really didn't want to talk about nothing. I almost didn't do my show today because I really didn't want to talk about nothing. I really just wanted to chill. But I see the reason I'm doing it now because of this feeling I just got. I guess during this past year with everybody going through this pandemic, and I guess this is what you wanted to see, Miss Mika, because now I'm into it. But this past year going through this pandemic, you had people feeling depressed. You had people wanting to kill themselves. You had people breaking up their relationships. I seen marriages end. A lot of people lost family members, sisters, brothers, uncles, cousins, great aunts, all of that stuff. But for some reason, sitting here on this day on my 23rd episode, something just hit me because now I need to talk to y'all and let y'all know that we looking at this through worldly eyes. It's a reason everything just happened this past year. 2020 was the way it was. Coming into 2021. And me coming into 2021, I lost two uncles 2 weeks apart from each other. And it's crazy how losing a family member make you sit sometimes and you think about just how influential in your life that person was. But why do we wait till they're gone to remember the memories. So that was something I juggled with. But today I'm sitting here, and the feeling that's hitting me is that some of my viewers that's watching it been going through something. And they've been going through ordeals during this pandemic that they not talking to nobody about. Because a lot of people don't like to tell everybody everything because the world is so quick to judge. We so quick to judge each other. We so quick to judge each other because this person might say they prefer the Republican Party. This person they prefer the Democratic Party. These people prefer sugar on their grits, and these people like salt on theirs. It's so many things that people can differ on, but does that really make us all different? And it's so much stuff that come to my mind, like when we was talking about, when me and you, Miss Mika, outside was talking about how everything keep us divided. For what? Because at the end of the day, here's the truth, people. At the end of the day, we are all born to die. We are all born to leave this mug. And when we leave this mug, it's only one or two places we can all go. So if we don't like each other now, we going to get to the other side and still be on the same thing we was on this side. And being that this month is Black History Month, it be having me to thinking. Black history, white history, all this history, we all was a part of it. And a lot of people might give me flack because they think I'm trying to shit on Black History Month. No, I'm not. We only get 28 days to celebrate ourselves, and I'm very mindful of that. But why should it only be within them 28 days that we celebrate ourselves? Just like the way my mind works, why should it take February 14th for you to appreciate your woman? Because it's Valentine's Day. You want to buy her gifts, you want to take her out and do that should be an everyday thing. It shouldn't be Black History Month. If you want to learn about Black history, it should be an all year round thing. I'm so ready for us to break the norm of being programmed, period, as people. We programmed by so many different things. And I'm so ready for that to be over with. I'm so ready for us to just unplug and deprogram ourselves. We program that this person not the same color as me, so they must be on something different than I am. When at the end of the day, everybody want to make their money, take care of their family, and be successful without hurting nobody. If you're not ignorant. So this whole time I've been sitting up here and I just was rambling off things. But then I got to a point where something hit me and it's just like, hey, the people with something to think about for real. Because every week when I come up here, I told y'all some weeks I be playing around. Some weeks I might walk in, Chuck Gary don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about because I ain't told him nothing. And this was one of them weeks because I really didn't have too much I wanted to say to y'all this week. Ain't nothing really interests me. But when I sat down here and got to rambling on and messing around and just doing what I do, it came to me. Put something in their heart before you walk off this mug today. So what I'm going to put on y'all is let's stop judging each other because of differences of opinion, different perspectives, or different skin tones. Let's stop feeding into the whole stigma of we got to be different just because we're not the same color. Or we got to be different just because we're not the same gender. Or we got to be different because of what this person prefer. I done said it so many times. We live in the United. That very first word, United States of America. We don't just live in the states of America where it could be your state, my state. It's supposed to be the United States. We judge each other too much. It's almost like we all look for reasons to down each other or to make each other feel like I'm better than you because I and you. And all of that's crazy. To me, at least. And the jewel I want to leave y'all with is this. If you could look at another person, look at yourself, and both y'all cut y'all arm, and yours don't come out the same color as theirs, then you got a reason to talk about somebody. If both of y'all can walk in the bathroom and sit on the toilet at the same time, and when y'all both get up, it's not the same color and the same nasty ass smell, then you talk about somebody. And I guess over this whole 4 months, 5 months I've been doing my show, every other episode I keep trying to drill it into us. No, I'm no martyr. I'm really not an activist like that. Those are not things I feel that I'm called to be in my life. But what I do feel I'm called to do is to give y'all some form of knowledge every single time I sit behind this microphone in front of this nice ass setup and speak to y'all. Because if I didn't, I felt like I would make Chuck look bad because Chuck take a lot of damn time putting this together. I watch him do it on a weekly basis. So for the people that call me and be telling me all about how my setup is, yeah, it's all blessings. It's been weeks I done got up here and I done talked about a lot of different stuff. I use profanity and all of that. But at the end of the day, I need everybody to understand this about me. I'm not a man that's not led. And a lot of people that flew over y'all head, I know it did. But if you know, you know. I guess I use the Facebook saying, if you know, you know. I am not a man that's not led. So a lot of the times the stuff I be speaking on, it get put in my spirit to speak on it to y'all. Just like the person, I don't know who it was. Maybe you was thinking about swan diving off your roof tonight. Hopefully, you knowing God is real gonna keep you from doing that to yourself. Maybe you was thinking about throwing hot grits on your abusive boyfriend or something like that. Might keep I've been trying to be serious this whole time. With me, she got the laugh on her face, the laugh, the smile. She keep doing. Damn it!
Has that happened to you before?
No, what me?
You gotten grits thrown on your face?
It wasn't grits.
Okay.
No, it wasn't grits.
Okay.
We couldn't afford grits then. It was farina. But but luckily I dodged it and it only hit the side of my neck. But she threw it at my face though. She did. She threw it at my face, and you would have never thought that my grandma would have did something like that to me. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. It wasn't my grandma. Lord, y'all forgive me. People that's watching, because my cousins, don't call me talking about you shouldn't have talked about granny like that. Like, nah, it wasn't like that. My uncles and aunts don't call me saying I shouldn't have cracked a joke on y'all mama like that. She was abusive. I mean, it happens. Like, if you see my family, she was only like that to me because my last name Jackson, and one side is Adams, the other side Lanier, and I'm a Jackson. So You figure it out. So she was gonna throw grits on me. Nah, look, Uncle Nard, Aunt Jackie, and all of y'all. These is just jokes. We just having fun. No offense to y'all mama. All my crazy cousins on my mama's side that's watching it. No offense to my grandma May. Y'all know how I felt about her, but she just didn't like me back. But I was in the middle of my deep part of the show, and Chuck put me in the silly part of the show. So this week I'm gonna end my show with the "Am I with it" portion of my show. I saw something. Kim Kardashian gave Tristan Thompson relationship advice.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look at this, Chuck, before we get out of here.
So, what's going on with you and Chloe?
Yeah, I mean, some days are good and some days, she gets a little frustrated about, what's going on with the media.
I don't even think it's to her anymore about like getting over the past like things that you guys have been through. I think it's just mostly what other people are gonna think.
Yeah,
I think she's totally fine. Otherwise, she wouldn't be hanging out with you 24/7.
Yeah.
And
She's
everything.
carrying a suitcase of like other people's opinions and thoughts.
And I just
that
never
slows you
thought
down,
she
yeah.
was like that.
Mhm.
I just feel like it's so. That wasn't who she was.
Yeah.
She's always like the tough Chloe that doesn't give a.
Like you're never gonna get to the finish line if you're trying to always please the masses. So like you just gotta just live for yourself and like, yeah, like he don't give a damn if you like him or not. But guess what? He's happy and he's gonna do it his way, and it's either you gonna like him or not. And I kind of like
Damn.
respect him. It's like,
Watch.
you gonna ride this journey the way you want to, and it's either people gonna be with you or against
He
you.
spoke on Kanye, her face, so his
Die, you die,
expression
do your
totally
way.
changed.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's like my mentality.
All right, I'm afraid of getting DMCA'd, so I'm stopping it there.
Yeah, he a few things I noticed about that. Am I with it? Why when he mentioned Kanye, her whole facial expression changed? She was engaged in the conversation until he said Kanye. And that was the point I was finna make about taking relationship advice from Kim. That's the last, at least for me, that's the last motherfucker on the planet I would want to take relationship advice from. Because I ain't even been hip to the Kardashians that long, but for as long as I can remember, she been like, dude's been like a revolving door with Kim. It was Reggie Bush, then it was the Chris Humphries dude. I think the longest one was Kanye, and that's because he had a Keeper Kim baby. And what they had, like 4 of them? They had 4 kids. But when he just mentioned Kanye, her whole facial expression changed. Because ain't they going through like a divorce or something?
Yeah, they are.
So how is that the right person to get? You don't have the room to give nobody any relationship advice. Because at least for me, the advice I would get is you're a prime example of what not to do. Because if I get married, it's one and I'm done. That's it. You want a divorce till death do us part. That must mean one of us gonna die today. Like that's seriously, like that's where I'm at when it comes to marriage. So for all y'all ladies that may be checking for me, just know that if we get married, the only way we get a divorce is if death do us part. So that should just be y'all pre-warning. But before I get out of here, that whole am I with it? Hell no, I'm not with getting relationship advice from Kim Kardashian because none of her relationships seem to work. And this been another episode of my show, The Jackson Report. Produced False Media. Chuck back there on the text. He doing his thing with the logos back there. Next month, I'm going to implement the Eat with K-On, so y'all be looking for it. Be looking for my girl with words too hard. Well, words are hard. My bad. I always mispronounce. I've been mispronouncing it in my mind since I've been reading it up there. But Miss Mika with words are hard. I hear that's a hell of a show. I'm going to have to check it out. And y'all probably will be hearing from her on my show. Good night, y'all.